Tuesday, January the 27th, 2026, I posted Anachronism 4960 to the Anachronisms blog, and it is called, and this is a long title, an anthology in honor of fleshing out the tenor to determine the venerate versus the hoggy submissions, particularly among those expected to have renown of any kind, as can potentially or possibly or maybe be pretended to exist among such big crowded fishes. Boy, you can learn a lot by what a revered or venerable, and these words I use lightly as in the particular poets, could only dream of such things, or one might from the outside looking in see so much that can be determined about how each poet, the subject and the writer of the accolade, or whatever each decides to include, should each be included. Does each contributor, does the showcased poet, the subject, deserve or not deserve such reverence, or does there become the quick and bland building of a quickly assumed pedestal building stance so as to most often make a fool out of the acolyte, kind of roast them, and often their meat hogger? First, one must attempt to begin to set aside all judgment. Second, is there any relation whatsoever between said poet's poem and the poet the anthology is showcasing? Surely, dear reader of this detour, can begin to see what I will be and am getting at perhaps already. No matter. One should dig deeply, or at least begin to pick up on various highfalutin poetasters in such sitches as we, they, especially they, would find themselves numerously seeking reverence within the pairing, the combinations. Who agrees? Probably not making any sense, but anyway. Who are always missing, no matter their closeness or affiliations with the showcased author, who, check out the poets of the female persuasion, really make that effort to connect, to poignantly reflect on the connection their poem or their person has with the subject of the anthology. What do the hunting stories tell that these ladies could not, or did the ladies hunt, bisexually, multisexually? And what of those who relay the carousing infantile or more mature? Should that be a word that works in what might often be nothing but brags or something to elicit laughter by a common sex, particularly? Of course, because, the men, so often, and this is just the first fallback, the easiest, just throw something out that I just wrote, he must think, and I have done my duty and given the world what they want, a taste of me in my work. Don't be led down labyrinths with spiteful or seemingly derogatory or very familiar and vague with regard to how positive or negative passages. These may be done in the act of those two literally did. The act of who these two literally did, poet and potentially great friend or long-standing poet of irritation, one to the other, but are more likely to be real. Dig deeper, ask questions, figure out the stories that aren't told by those who are. By those that are, sorry. I think I'll be editing this one a little bit. In this way, one can begin to learn who best to ask when put in charge or putting oneself in charge of the next great anthology. The end-all, be-all, send up to the next subject of the next anthology, showcased and edited meticulously in hopes of building the best capsule of who each of these were to the other, and most particularly to the anthologized author. Find many examples and tabulate the flim-flam from the heartfelt and perhaps obscure and metaphorically representative of the actual relationship, or better still, to splice good stuff with something seemingly odd or off-putting, which, when studied, becomes the story of one of the most solid friendships and collaborations among human writers. A gold mine, something never known. How coy the writers seem to toy with one another, as if lovers once or always. A true science lies among the arts, as sciences do, each elevating the other. If the editor has done his job well, a tally of infinite possibilities, meaningful, meaningless, and combinations thereof.